How did you manage to access all this information?
Electrical impulses. Every cell knows and talks to every other cell. They exchange 1,000 bits of information between them per second. Cells group together, forming a giant web of communication, which in turn forms matter. Cells get together, take on one form, deform, reform. Makes no difference, it's all the same. We've codified our existence to bring it down to human size, to make it comprehensible. We've created a scale so that we can forget its unfathomable scale. Film a car speeding down a road. Speed up the image infinitely, and the car disappears. So what proof do we have of its existence? Time gives legitimacy to its existence. Time is the only true unit of measure. Without time, we don't exist.
The movie opens in Taiwan, where Lucy tries to leave her boyfriend, Richard, outside a luxurious hotel. Before she can walk away, he asks her to deliver a locked briefcase to a man named Mr. Jang inside the building. Richard claims it contains nothing more than a few documents and says the delivery will earn him $1,000. But Lucy immediately senses trouble and refuses to get involved. He blocks her path, begs her to reconsider, and offers to split the money. Yet she tells him to handle his own shady dealings. Cornered, Richard admits he has already run into problems with the people waiting inside. Rather than accept her answer, Richard suddenly handcuffs the briefcase to Lucy's wrist and reveals that Mr. Jang has the only key. Furious that he has trapped her in his mess, Lucy has no choice but to enter the hotel and complete the delivery herself. At reception, she gives her real name and waits while the staff contacts Mr. Jang. Moments later, a group of intimidating men approaches the entrance. Lucy glances outside just in time to see Richard shot dead beside the glass wall. The receptionist accepts a wad of cash and ducks behind the counter as the men seize Lucy. They escort her through the building while she desperately insists she has done nothing wrong. Guests quickly clear the way as the gang leads her into a luxurious suite and takes up defensive positions. Lucy spots the lifeless body of another victim nearby and immediately throws up. The thugs force her into a chair at a large table and hand her a cloth to clean herself. Mr. Jang enters moments later with his clothes stained by the blood of his latest victims. He calmly washes his hands, ignores Lucy's frantic explanation, and orders his men to position her properly. Since Lucy cannot understand him, he summons a translator. Through the translator, Lucy explains that the entire situation is a misunderstanding and that Richard never told her what was inside the briefcase. Mr. Jang then gives Lucy a slip of paper containing the combination, then casually leaves the room while his armed guards retreat behind heavy protective shields. Lucy asks why everyone needs protection if the case is supposedly harmless. The translator claims Mr. Jang simply never trusted Richard, but Lucy points out that she did not trust him either and had only been dating him for a week. Mr. Jang has no interest in her excuses and orders her to open it. With sausages pointed in her face, Lucy enters the combination. Inside are several sealed bags filled with a mysterious blue crystalline substance. Once the translator describes the contents, Mr. Jang confidently returns and opens one of the packages. To prove what the compound can do, he orders his men to bring in a terrified hostage and force him to consume it. The man immediately screams in unbearable agony before erupting into uncontrollable laughter. Mr. Jang watches without emotion, ends his suffering with a single gunshot, and turns back to Lucy with a new job offer. Lucy instantly refuses to work for him, so one of his men knocks her unconscious. She wakes in an unfamiliar room with a thick bandage wrapped around her abdomen. Before she can process what has happened, the gang throws clothes at her and drags her back to Mr. Zhang's office. The translator reveals that they surgically implanted a package of the blue compound, known as CPH4, inside her body. Lucy and several other captives will be used as international drug mules, each traveling under a forged passport. Once they reach their assigned countries, local operatives will retrieve them and remove the packages. Escape is not an option because the organization has detailed information on every member of their families.
We rely, therefore, on your complete discretion. Gentlemen, allow me to be the first to wish you bon voyage.
The mail couriers are hooded and dragged away first, leaving Lucy to be blindfolded and taken to another location. She eventually arrives at one of the gang's secret hideouts, where the package is meant to remain inside her until the delivery is complete. Instead of guarding her, one of the criminals tries to assault her. Lucy orders him not to touch her, but the resistance only enrages him, and he beats her repeatedly until his colleague pulls him away before he kills her. The intervention comes too late. The beating has reopened Lucy's surgical wound, rupturing the CPH4 package and flooding her bloodstream with the blue crystals. Her body immediately begins reacting like the hostage Mr. Yang executed. Lucy loses all control as an invisible force throws her against the wall and lifts her toward the ceiling. She claws at the surface, terrified, while the compound tears through her system. When the violent episode finally ends, she regains consciousness, with something inside her fundamentally changed. Lucy stays quiet and waits for an opening. One of the guards eventually enters, places his gun on the table, and starts undoing his belt, clearly intending to finish what the other man started. This time, Lucy reacts before he can touch her. She launches a surprise attack, knocks him unconscious, and grabs his sausage. Armed for the first time since her capture, she moves through the building toward the exit. The same criminal who beat her blocks her path, but Lucy no longer hesitates. She eliminates him and everyone else standing between her and freedom. Before leaving, she calmly eats food from one of the restaurant tables. As though her rapidly changing body is demanding fuel, outside, she approaches two taxi drivers and asks whether they speak English. When the first says no, she shoots him and turns to the second, who immediately discovers that his English is excellent. Lucy orders him to drive her to the nearest hospital. Terrified of sharing his colleague's fate, he obeys without argument. The moment they arrive, Lucy heads straight into an operating room, where a surgeon angrily demands that she leave. Instead, she studies the patient's brain scans and instantly determines that the disease has already spread to the cortex, making treatment impossible. When the doctor refuses to help her, Lucy ends the patient's suffering with a single gunshot. The medical staff panic, but Lucy pushes the body aside and explains that the patient could not have been saved. She orders the stunned surgeon to remove the CPH4 package from her abdomen. With a gun pointed at him, he prepares his instruments and warns that he will need to administer a local anesthetic. Lucy calmly refuses. Whatever the compound has done to her, she no longer feels pain. As the surgeon begins operating, Lucy borrows his phone and calls her mother. Her mom immediately slips into casual conversation, asking whether she has been taking care of herself, while the doctor warns Lucy that he is about to reopen the wound. Lucy calmly gives him permission and admits to her mom that she is trying, but the call quickly becomes more emotional as she explains that something inside her mind has changed. She can now remember every moment of her life with perfect clarity, feel everything she has ever experienced, and despite everything happening to her, all she wants is her family.
I remember the taste of your milk in my mouth, the room, the liquid.
Sweetie, what are you talking about?
I just want to tell you that I love you, Mom and Dad. And I want to thank you for the 1,000 kisses that I can still feel on my face. I love you, Mom.
After telling her mother how deeply she misses them, Lucy says goodbye and ends the call. Once the package is removed, the surgeon asks to know what it contains, explaining that he cannot treat her properly without understanding what has entered her bloodstream. When Lucy identifies the substance as CPH4, his expression changes immediately. He explains that CPH4 is naturally produced by pregnant women during the 6th week of pregnancy. Even in tiny amounts, it provides the enormous burst of energy needed for a fetus to form its skeletal structure. With the quantity now circulating through Lucy's body, her survival should be impossible.
For a baby, it packs the power of an atomic bomb. It's what gives the fetus the necessary energy to form all the bones in its body. I'd heard that they tried to make a synthetic version of it. Didn't realize that they'd succeeded. If it really is CPH4, in this quantity, I'm amazed you're still alive.
Not for long.
Knowing she may not have much time left, Lucy leaves the hospital. The world outside no longer looks the same. Her expanding mind allows her to perceive the structure and composition of every plant around her, revealing layers of information invisible to an ordinary person. With her senses evolving by the second, she returns to Mr. Jang's building and moves silently through the corridors, taking down every guard in her path with suppressed sausages. Inside Mr. Jang's office, Lucy orders the tattoo artist to leave, then pins both of the crime boss's hands to his desk with knives.
Learning's always a painful process, like when you're little and your bones are growing and you ache all over. Like this grinding under the skin. Everything's different now. Sounds are music that I can understand, like fluids. It's funny, I used to be so concerned with who I was and what I wanted to be, and now that I have access to the furthest reaches of my brain, I see things clearly and realize that what makes us us, it's primitive. Does that make any sense? Like this pain you're experiencing, it's blocking you from understanding. All you know now is pain. Where are the others? The others carrying the drugs. I need the rest of it for medicinal purposes.
With Jang completely helpless, she reaches into his mind and searches through his memories, uncovering the destinations of every remaining courier carrying CPH-4. Once she has the information she needs, she walks away and leaves him screaming in agony. Hours later, Lucy visits her close friend Caroline, who tries to catch her up on everything that has happened since they last met. Lucy barely needs to listen.
And you were never gonna guess where he took me.
4 seasons,
royal suite, and we made love all night.
Using Caroline's computer, she races through the research of Professor Norman, a scientist who has spent years studying the unused potential of the human brain. Within minutes, she has read all of his work and calls him directly. Yes. Norman dismisses her claim as impossible because his research contains more than 700 documents. But when Lucy gives him the exact number, he assumes a girl named Emily must be playing another joke on him. Lucy removes any doubt by hacking into the television inside Norman's hotel room and appearing on the screen. She explains that after absorbing a massive dose of CPH-4, her brain capacity has already reached 28%, granting her abilities far beyond anything his theories predicted. The problem is that she has no idea how long her body can survive the transformation. With time running out, she needs his help before she evolves past the point of control. Norman is left speechless. His entire career has been built around the theoretical potential of the human brain. Yet, Lucy is living proof that those limits can be broken. She explains that her abilities extend far beyond intelligence. She can manipulate bodies and minds, control electrical signals, and influence magnetic fields. To prove it, she moves effortlessly between the television, telephone, and radio systems around him. Yet the more powerful she becomes, the less human she feels. Pain, fear, and emotion are already beginning to disappear.
It's like all things that make us human are fading away. It's like the less human I feel, all this knowledge about quantum physics, applied mathematics, the infinite capacity of a cell's nucleus, they're all exploding inside my brain, all this knowledge. I don't know what to do with it.
After considering the implications, Norman tells her that the most valuable thing she can do is preserve and pass that knowledge to humanity, because no ordinary human could ever naturally reach her level.
The sole purpose of life has been to pass on what was learned. So if you're asking me what to do with all this knowledge you're accumulating, I say pass it on, just like any simple cell going through time.
Accepting his answer, Lucy tells him she will meet him in 12 hours. Before leaving Caroline's apartment, Lucy prints a medical prescription and warns her friend to start taking better care of herself. She can already see that Caroline's kidney is failing and her liver is deteriorating because of her unhealthy lifestyle. With news reports broadcasting Lucy's face in connection with the hospital shooting, she alters her appearance and disappears back into the city. Her next move is to contact Detective Pierre. Calling from a vending machine, Lucy orders him to pick up the red pen next to him and gives him the precise locations and movements of every courier transporting CPH-4. Pierre is stunned that this unknown woman can see exactly where he is, what he is doing, and what is happening around him. But the accuracy of her information leaves him no reason to doubt her. He records every detail, and the police immediately launch a coordinated operation to recover the couriers and seize the shipments. Within hours, officers track down and arrest nearly all of the transporters. One nervous smuggler tries to escape as the police close in, but he is quickly overpowered and taken into custody. With the operation underway, Lucy boards a flight to Paris. During the journey, she scans 2 laptops simultaneously, absorbing millions of pieces of information in seconds, while her mind continues accelerating beyond human limits. When her brain capacity reaches 40%, the evolution turns against her. Her cells begin recognizing that her human body can no longer sustain what she is becoming. Her teeth loosen and fall out, while sections of her skin dissolve into the air as though her body is breaking apart molecule by molecule. Panic finally breaks through her fading emotions. Lucy forces her way past the flight attendants and locks herself inside the restroom, where she watches parts of her face disappear in the mirror. Desperate to stabilize the transformation, she consumes more CPH-4 crystals. Instead of stopping the collapse, the additional dose accelerates it. Within seconds, her body disintegrates completely and vanishes. Sometime later, at a hospital in Paris, doctors brief Detective Pierre about Lucy, explaining that they have sedated and restrained her. But as they speak, Lucy awakens on the hospital bed, now operating at 50% brain capacity. The attending nurse stares in disbelief before quickly alerting the officers. Police swarm into the room and Pierre steps forward, ordering Lucy to remain still and raise her hands. Lucy ignores him. With a single wave, she incapacitates every officer in the room and empties the bullets from Pierre's gun before he can react. Remaining completely calm, she asks where the confiscated CPH-4 packages are being stored. Pierre just replies that they are safe here in Paris, but Lucy insists they will be safer with her. As they drive toward the hospital where the packages are being held, Lucy's expanding awareness allows her to listen in on Mr. Jang's conversation with one of his men. When she realizes he is heading to the same hospital to recover the packages, she immediately changes course. Lucy shoves Pierre into the passenger seat, takes the wheel, and races toward the location at full speed. While Lucy races across Paris, Mr. Jang's remaining henchmen storm the hospital, where the surviving couriers are being treated. They split up, seize control of the ward, eliminate the officers standing in their way, and recapture the hostages before anyone can react. At the same time, Lucy cuts through traffic with impossible precision, pushing toward the hospital before the operation can continue. Inside, the gang begins removing the CPH-4 packages. When one courier suddenly complains that he feels unwell, Mr. Jang's Lieutenant Chong-ju shoots him in the head without hesitation, throwing the others into panic. Police vehicles soon tear through the city in pursuit. Pierre offers to radio the officers and call them off, but Lucy calmly says it will not be necessary. Using her abilities, she remotely lowers a row of rising bollards just long enough for their car to pass, then raises them again, sending the pursuing vehicles crashing into a massive pileup. Back at the hospital, an officer returns to check on the hostages and discovers that the gang has taken over the ward. He immediately opens fire, killing several of the thugs before being mortally wounded himself. And one terrified hostage tries to escape in the confusion, only to be shot down. That's when Lucy shows up. In the back, Chong-ju grabs the remaining CPH-4 packages and orders his men to hold her off while he escapes. But Lucy's brain capacity is now at 60%, unlocking another level of control. With a single thought, she traps Chong-ju in place. She pulls every weapon toward the ceiling, disarming the entire group at once. Furious, Chong-ju orders his men to attack with their bare hands, but Lucy keeps walking while lifting them helplessly into the air. She then grabs the packages containing the recovered drugs and collects the final CPH-4 package from the last surviving courier. After witnessing what she can do, Pierre admits that he no longer understands how he can possibly help her. Lucy tells him she still needs him, kisses him, and explains that he must remind her of her humanity. With the drugs secured, they head to the university to meet Professor Norman. Norman has already assembled several respected colleagues to examine Lucy's condition. He begins introducing them, but Lucy cuts him off because she already knows who they are.
Your daughter, Gabrielle, age 6, died in a car accident. It was a blue car, leather seats, plastic bird hanging from the rearview mirror.
With this, Lucy starts sharing what her expanding intelligence has revealed about science and cell regeneration, overwhelming the researchers with the depth of her knowledge. Meanwhile, Mr. Jang learns that Lucy has taken down several of his men at the hospital from Chong-ju, who claims that Lucy is a witch. Jang just replies that he already knows and promises to kill her himself. Meanwhile, Lucy senses that Jang and his men are preparing to attack. Since she needs complete concentration for what comes next, she asks Pierre to secure the room. While Lucy continues explaining her discoveries to Norman and the scientists, Jang's heavily armed men storm the university, pushing through the corridors and eliminating anyone who stands in their way. Pierre joins the defense, but as the attackers close in, he rushes back to warn Lucy that they cannot hold them much longer. Lucy already knows. Declaring that it is time to finish what she started, she brings out the recovered CPH-4 packages and prepares to force her brain toward 100% capacity. Norman worries that absorbing such an extreme amount could overwhelm even her, but Lucy assures him that she will survive long enough to complete the transfer. Before the process ends, she promises to place everything she has learned into a computer so humanity can access it after she is gone.
But all of this knowledge, Lucy, I'm not even sure that mankind is ready for it. We're so driven by power and profit. Given man's nature, it might bring us only instability and chaos.
Ignorance brings chaos, not knowledge. I'll build a computer and download all my knowledge in it. I'll find a way for you to have access to it.
I just hope we will be worthy of your sacrifice.
Trusting her, Norman begins the procedure, while Pierre returns outside to join the police ambush. Jang refuses to retreat and orders his men to open fire, igniting a brutal gun battle across the university. Pierre is hit and forced behind cover as the attackers keep advancing. Inside the laboratory, Lucy's brain capacity reaches 70%. Her body begins transforming again, producing a strange organic mass that spreads across the room and absorbs everything it touches. The material grows rapidly, reshaping the laboratory into a living, shapeless supercomputer. Norman watches in disbelief as Lucy reaches the point where she can manipulate reality itself. Before he can understand what he is seeing, Jang orders one of his men to fire a rocket launcher into the laboratory. The blast sends the officers diving for cover, but just before the missile reaches her, Lucy disappears. With her brain operating at 90%, Lucy begins moving freely across the planet. Space itself soon becomes irrelevant, and she travels backward through Earth's history until she reaches the age of the dinosaurs. After briefly drawing the attention of one of the creatures, she disappears again and arrives before the earliest human ancestor, a creature who turns out is also called Lucy. They reach toward each other, and when their fingertips meet, Lucy's consciousness expands beyond the limits of Earth. She witnesses billions of years of cosmic history unfolding around her as the universe races backward toward its beginning. In the laboratory, her brain capacity climbs to 99%, just as Mr. Yang forces his way inside, determined to kill her before the transformation is complete. He raises his weapon, but Lucy reaches 100% and vanishes before he can fire. Furious, Jang turns the gun toward the professors instead. Pierre rushes into the room at the last moment and shoots him, ending his reign of evil and saving everyone inside. Shortly after, the living computer Lucy created completes its final task and produces a flash drive for Norman. Still struggling to understand what happened, Pierre asks where Lucy is gone. His phone immediately receives a message proving that she is still communicating with him. Her answer is simple. She is everywhere. Norman realizes the drive now contains knowledge beyond anything humanity has ever possessed. As the survivors process what they have witnessed, Lucy leaves them with one final message. Life was given to us billions of years ago, and now they finally know what to do with it.